sad that this is the second clip show the Next Mutation has hit us with in their one season of existence. Hell yeah. So let's get to the most important topic of any of these Next Mutation videos, the UK edits. As there are a lot of flashbacks, they have a bunch of flashes to white, which the Jetix version has removed. White flashes were also especially prevalent during the vehicle stock footage scenes, so yeah, that's a real big loss. Another edit was made for a similar reason, I guess, with some quick cutting of footage as the Turtles remember the good times with Vam-E. The UK edition replaces this with slowed down Turtles on the ground footage. And who doesn't love the just try and figure it out why they bothered with that cuts? During the vampire fight flashback, they removed the vamp kids attacking. I don't know. As the Turtles recall the love of their lives bone steel, we are shown how inconsistent these stupid cuts are as they remove Raph saying insane in the membrane.
Hot and coming on.
This dude's insane in the membrane. Let's book.
Hot and coming on.
Let's book.
This line was not removed during the UK version of the actual episode it was in, All in the Family.
Hot and coming on.
This dude's insane in the membrane.
Raph repeats this line again in actual footage from this farce of a finale, and it's still a no-no across the pond.
Groove-tastic. Yeah. Between you and Venus, I don't know who's more insane in the membrane. Groove-tastic.
So, they were at least consistent in this episode with how evil that saying was. I think this is also good evidence for the case that different censors made the edits on some of these episodes for the UK, and that's why some are way more chopped than others. In remembrance of that dumbass Dragon Lord, the Turtles remember Dreamland, but you might recall how the UK edition really hated those scenes, so that part of the flashback is gone completely. Later in this flashback, they have some changed shots to not really show Dragon Lord's foot on top of Splinter. They did originally cut a lot of this during East Meets West Part 3 as well, but you can still see what Dragonlord is doing, so it's rather pointless. And during a stupid montage of Venus saying the wrong word because it's important to recap that hilarious running gag, the UK got tired of it, so took a slice out, removing Venus mixing up pie and cake. Last and least, while Venus fought foot soldiers in the park, they have chopped out a seemingly random bit of her throwing and kicking them, which is stuff that's in the other footage that's still in there anyway. And now that I've enthralled you with the overseas edits, here's how the Next Mutation's finale tries to enthrall you. Splinter sleeping! Mikey making a 7-layer cake! Venus meditating! Leo and Raph training! And Donnie finding jack shit on his computer.
Very little activity.
If they did this lax opening as a way to contrast the crazy action of later on in the episode, it could possibly work, but spoiler, that sure as hell doesn't happen.
Let the turtles be as one.
So here's the main point of conflict in Lazyville. Venus's togetherness spell sticks the 4 male jackass turtles together in a force fieldy thing, and Mikey almost loses his cake, which is definitely the scariest part of the finale.
Cake, 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 cake.
Sorry.
Venus, is there any shinobi spell you can actually do?
Sweet, took the male turtles less than 2 minutes in to be jerks to Venus, which, by the way, is the majority of this episode.
Who needs her?
The turtles complain about Venus while remembering things she did that annoyed them, which is some rich coming from you 4 annoying dickweeds.
Be quiet. You'll break her concentration.
And then she might actually get something done right.
So, while this spell is a kind of dumb move, Venus was prepared to immediately reverse it until they all acted like jackasses to her, so she storms off. But hey, at least Splinter is around to save the day.
Stick together. Time to go back Betty Pie.
I hate Splinter. Why does she call herself a shinobi anyway? I mean, when was the last time she did something right?
Well, if success is a qualifier to be a shinobi, I guess you 4 chuckle fucks better stop calling yourselves Ninja Turtles.
We got zapped, but not as bad as the staff of Bukai zapped Venus.
Wow, that sure was a clunky transition into something that doesn't really relate to anything. Thanks, Leo.
Well, you've got to admit, that undead chick had heart.
No, she didn't, Donatello. That was her entire plot line in those 4 episodes, moron.
As a shinobi, it is her duty to keep her from retrieving her heart.
Just in case you were worried that the turtles ever learned anything or started to care about stopping villains, here they are to remind you that they'd rather just let everyone die and lay around on the floor. So, really, they should be happy the spell was cast on their lazy asses.
And then the heart attack began.
Wow! A joke that is actually kind of funny. It'd be better if the heart had actually attacked them instead of just flopping around, but still, it's the Next Mutation, take what you can get. Leo and Raph then start whining and pathetically slap around at each other while stuck in the spell. This show really took their feud to the next level.
Oh, man. She is the one who got us mixed up with Bone Steel after all.
If she didn't take the little baby turtle, we wouldn't be on Bone Steel's most wanted list.
Venus makes us do stuff. What a bitch.
Who can forget the time that she kicked all our shells?
The flashback here is of when Venus single-handedly took out all the turtles at the beginning of part 2 of East Meets West. And speaking of that, East Meets West was actually edited together as a movie on VHS. This is actually the only version of Next Mutation I've seen that properly has an episode title card, which would have been nice to have on the rest. In this edited version, though, they removed the intro, and that does make this part kind of awkward, as supposedly Venus took out the male turtles during that, so in the movie version's lights go out and then right back on, and the turtles are hanging from the ceiling.
We've got company.
I suppose, given that the Next Mutation Turtles are the most pathetic incarnation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ever created, them failing that quickly is not out of the realm of possibility. Venus gets attacked and captured by the Rank, and Dragon Lord briefly shows up, even though I said last episode was his final outing. Given that he doesn't actually do anything and never shows up again, what I told you was true, from a certain point of view. Actually, the reason I didn't think he properly showed up again was every time I watch this episode, I've mistaken this scene for a flashback. Michelangelo even seemingly sets it up as such by saying Venus can't fight that well right before we get into it.
She can't fight that good.
Gotta split or split.
We're having turtle soup tonight.
Tonight I dine on turtle soup.
Scenes. So here's legit what my stupid face looked like during this stupidity. Yeah, I felt it very important to capture that, so enjoy my unshaved lazy face there. Just in case you thought this bullshit couldn't sink any lower, they add the nonsense baby cry. So hey, why not add the goat noise too? Yeah, they did that. Of course they did. Splinter rolling the spell up in a tablecloth is so mind-numbingly dumb, I'd say the Next Mutation just completely gave up at this point, but I'd have to have evidence it was ever trying in the first place to make that statement.
Yeah!
Venus must think very highly of you.
Of course she does.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Anyone who's ever met you.
Where is Venus?
Well, you might know if you bothered to care about this spell going wrong instead of going back to bed.
The stench of the Rank fills the sewers. But she is wise.
Then Splinter seriously goes back to bed again. Venus is missing. He can smell the Rank spin in the sewers, but Venus is wise, so that's not worth him giving a shit.
I hate Splinter.
Now the rest of the turtles care about Venus living or dying, and we get the final vehicle stock footage scene. And it's extra pointless in this one, as the turtles are just going into the sewers, so driving out of them in the first place would just take longer, especially if the Rank was close enough for Splinter to be smelling them.
What did she ever do to us anyway?
Except risk her life to save Splinter.
And seeing as we hate Splinter, no wonder we treat Venus like garbage.
Venus might not make it, and it's all our fault.
Wow, that sure is a 180 considering what a laughy circle jerk the rest of this episode was. I don't even know why Leo suddenly thinks it's this dire, but this certainly makes old Master Splint Hole in his Betty Bye time look even worse.
Venus was too good to be captured that easily.
Yeah! Gotta storm the lair!
Slow down! We need a plan!
Let's go!
Apparently everyone is brain dead. It's the Next Mutation.
Come on, remember when Venus first met the rank?
Their flashback about Venus first meeting the rank is her fighting the Foot, not the rank. And this is, of course, them flashing back to something they weren't there for, so bonus stupidity. This flashback is right after the Venus messes up words montage, and they include my favorite line where Venus knows the double meaning of a certain word.
What a swinger!
Now it's time for the turtles to finally redeem themselves and save Venus, right? Nah, of course, they've tried nothing and they're all out of ideas, and that's when Venus reveals she saved herself off screen. This is pathetic as a season finale, and it's extra pathetic as a series finale.
It was only a couple of rank. Time to book!
Yay, she finally got a quote right. It's the first time.
What a swinger!
And they all run off towards cancellation. Yay! There was a chance to do something with this series. There really was. But man, did they drop the ball as hard as they could. The theory that Saban purposely tanked this series since TMNT was the main competition for Power Rangers at the time is kind of hard to dispute and would be a better look for them than saying that the Next Mutation was a legit effort to make a good show. As Ninja Turtles, the Next Mutation is without a doubt one of the worst creations by all of mankind. It absolutely refused to try. It's an endurance test trying to watch this thing with all the stupid sound effects never stopping, and it made the absolute most unlikable version of the Turtles. No one working on this show seemed to know or like Ninja Turtles. They went out of their way to remove almost all the elements of the franchise that were familiar and just had the supposed heroes bitch and complain all the time. Supposedly, April O'Neil and Casey Jones were meant to show up in season 2, but we can only imagine how awfully they would have been realized in this shit show. April would probably accidentally expose the Turtles on the news almost every episode and not really care about it, while Casey Jones would accidentally swallow a golf ball. The biggest idiot of the episode was Splinter, for going back to bed not once, but twice. He laughed off the spell going wrong and then realized Venus was in danger and couldn't be bothered to do anything. Him rolling up the spell in the tablecloth was also a solution that only worked because this entire show is brain dead. Next time on Next Mutation. Next time on Power Rangers in Space, the Next Mutation Turtles show up, hence why it's a part of this series.
I got you, tricky devil.